Hello friends, welcome to a new topic today. In this chapter we are going to learn about anesthesia circuit. Okay, so in the anesthesia circuit, this anesthesia circuit is a two-way connection between the patient and the machine. So we have learned about the anesthesia machine in the last class, right? So we have an anesthesia machine and we also have the patient, right? The connection between this anesthesia machine and the patient is called as anesthesia circuit. That means this anesthesia circuit will bring the gas towards the patient, that is, will bring inspiratory gas towards the patient, and it will also take expiratory gas away from the patient into the machine or to the outside, whatever it is. Okay, so this is anesthesia circuit. So we have three different types of circuits available in the anesthesia machine, anesthesia circuits. Okay, one we call it as open circuit, second semi-open or Mapleson circuit, third we have closed circuit. If you see, open circuit is never and no longer used. Right now we are not using this open circuit. Okay, so we have two types of ventilation. One we have as spontaneous ventilation and the other we have controlled ventilation. Okay, what does this mean? In spontaneous ventilation, the patient can take the amount of oxygen by himself. Okay, the patient can exert some pressure, then that is spontaneous ventilation. In controlled ventilation, patient cannot exert any pressure and the ventilator or the anesthesia machine which is connected to the patient, that will only exert or give some controlled amount of air or controlled amount of pressure or volume, depending upon whether the circuit is volume controlled or pressure controlled. If it is pressure controlled, it will pump the oxygen with a particular pressure to the patient. If it is volume control, always in every breath it will pump the particular amount of volume of air to the patient. So it can be either spontaneous or it can be controlled. Okay, now so in the anesthesia circuit, if you see, if the expiratory valve is near the patient, this is very important. If expiratory valve is near the patient, then it is good circuit for spontaneous ventilation. If expiratory valve is near the patient, then it is good circuit for spontaneous ventilation. If the gas inlet is near the patient, then it is good circuit for controlled ventilation. So if expiratory valve is near the patient, it is good circuit for spontaneous ventilation. If gas inlet is near the is nearer to the patient, then it is good circuit for controlled ventilation. Then we have something called as semi-closed circuit. Okay, what do you see in semi-closed circuit? See, we have three circuits, like open, semi-closed and closed. Open we are not using now. So now let us learn about first semi-closed circuit. In semi-closed circuit, we give see, I'll just show you here. Did I draw a diagram? No. Okay, I'll draw a diagram here. So think that this is the machine, anesthesia machine, and this is the patient. Okay, so from the machine pumps inspiratory gases to the patient. Okay, now this patient takes the inspiratory gases, and all the after the patient takes the inspiratory gases, this the metabolism occurs and expiratory gases are generated. These expiratory gases are released into the atmosphere. So this is the semi-closed circuit, where all the expiratory gases are released into the atmosphere. Okay, so this is less economical, right? Because we are losing some amount of gases which can be reused again. So there is wastage of gases, so it is less economical, right? And because these gases are released into the atmosphere, there is an increased chances of operation theatre or atmospheric pollution. See, the gases which we give are anesthetic gases. We give oxygen. We just do not give oxygen 100%. We give nitrous oxide. We give oxygen only 21%. The rest all will be the other gases, right? So nitrous oxide which can be reused, right? So all these gases, especially the vaporizers, and if you see the anesthesia general anesthetics, inhaled anesthetics which we give, all those they can be reused. Okay, so if you see, there is increased atmospheric and operative pollution also. So in this case, okay, This is one thing. Okay, then if you see the controlled mode of ventilation and spontaneous mode of ventilation, both can be used in this semi closed circuit. Okay, you can use either controlled or or spontaneous mode of ventilation. If you have to use spontaneous mode of ventilation, then the patient is not paralyzed. Why? Because as I said, in spontaneous mode of ventilation, the respiratory effort of patient is very important, because in spontaneous mode of ventilation the machine does not do anything, the patient has to take his breath. So as a result, the patient should not be paralyzed. Okay, in controlled mode of ventilation, the patient, there is no need for the patient to take the breath. The machine itself pumps the necessary amount of air which is set by the doctor, right? So in this situation, the patient is paralyzed. If patient is not paralyzed, he tries to breathe on his own. That will, but the machine will be pumping him the required amount of air. That will provide him, that may irritate him, that might have some adverse effect. So as a result, you will have to paralyze the patient and you will have to give him the controlled mode of ventilation. Now we will see the procedure, the same procedure which I have said. So from the machine, the fresh gas enters the circuit. What does fresh gas contains? It contains these things. It contains nitrous oxide, it contains oxygen, and it contains deuterium. Okay, now the fresh gas will enter the alveoli of the patient. Now then the expiratory gases are generated. What are the expiratory gases generated? Nitrous oxide, oxygen, deuterium and carbon dioxide are the expiratory gases which are generated. So in this, apart from carbon dioxide, all the others can be used, right? These all the gases are removed out into the atmosphere completely, okay, from the expiratory valve. This is the procedure, the same thing which I have drawn, right? Now what are the advantages of this procedure? The advantages is, the thing is, it is simple and it is lightweight. You don't need to do, it doesn't have lots of valves and stuff. It is lightweight and simple circuit, so you can easily take it to other hospitals, or it can easily be carried. So it is a portable circuit. Then we have disadvantages. So what are the disadvantages? Obviously there is gas wastage. Okay, so this is less economical. I have already told you there will be OT and atmospheric pollution, right? And you will have to maintain the continuous gas outflow. So you will have to maintain the continuous fresh gas outflow. If the fresh gas supply has been disconnected in any way, there is no chance of patient to get his breath. So as a result, continuous fresh gas supply is necessary. This is semi-closed circuit. Then we have closed circuit. So what are important in closed circuit? In closed circuit, see, in this is almost similar to open circuit. So if you see, this is the anesthesia machine, this is the patient. Okay, now through the anesthesia machine there is fresh gas which is entering into the patient. Okay, here the fresh gas contains nitrous oxide, oxygen and deuterium, same as that of the normal, semi-closed. Okay, now this fresh gas now reaches, once you squeeze the bag, that is through bag which is attached, once you squeeze the bag, the gas enters into the inspiratory field or enters into the patient's alveoli. Then the metabolism of gas occurs in the alveoli, and then there is release of expiratory gas is released, right? This expiratory gas will now reach an arm here. In the circuit there is an arm which is called as expiratory arm. Okay, to this in this expiratory arm, now this gas reaches this expiratory arm. Okay, in the expiratory arm there is something called as carbon dioxide absorber. Now this is carbon dioxide absorber. What does this carbon dioxide absorber do? This carbon dioxide absorber will absorb the carbon dioxide from the expiratory gases, because here what does the expiratory gas contain? It's similar, it contains nitrous oxide, deuterium and oxygen and carbon dioxide. We don't need to give carbon dioxide back to the patient, we will have to decrease the amount of carbon dioxide. So from the gas, the carbon dioxide is absorbed by this carbon dioxide absorber. Okay, and the rest of the gases enters the circuit back, and from there it enters into the patient again. Okay, so that is important. So all the other gases are reused. So that is the procedure of this closed circuit. Now what are the advantages of this closed circuit? So if you see the advantages, there is separate inspiratory limb and there is separate expiratory limb in this patient, and there is unidirectional valve. This is important. There is unidirectional valve. Obviously it is more economical, it has minimum air pollution because no gas is released into the atmosphere, so it does not have any air pollution. Okay, it has unidirectional valve and it has separate inspiratory and expiratory limbs. So these two are very important advantages. Now what are the disadvantages? These disadvantages are also very important. If you see in the disadvantages, this is a bulky machine. So because it is complex heavy circuit, we cannot move it from place to place. See, if you see, you can move the semi-closed circuit easily. It is a portable circuit, but this closed circuit you cannot move it from place to place. It is a complex heavy circuit. And what does this, and one more important thing is, when we said that here to this carbon dioxide absorber what gases go? Carbon dioxide, deuterium, oxygen and also nitrous oxide reach the carbon dioxide absorber. Now this deuterium can react with the carbon dioxide and this forms the toxic product. This is important. Deuterium reacts with the carbon dioxide leading to toxic product. So this you should remember. And one more thing, there is a anesthetic which is trilene. Okay, this trilene will also combined with carbon dioxide absorber leading to phosgene production. Phosgene is a what do we say? Phosgene is a chemical, and this phosgene is a toxic chemical and it results in cranial nerve palsy. Okay, so trilene, if combines with carbon dioxide, results in cranial nerve palsy. Similarly, deuterium combined with carbon dioxide forms toxic products. So these are most important disadvantages of closed circuit. Okay, now we have learnt about the closed and semi-closed and closed circuit functioning. Now let us learn about the types of the semi-closed circuit. So in the types of semi-closed circuit, these are also called as Mapleson systems. We call semi-closed circuit as Mapleson systems. There are 6 different types of semi-closed circuit. Okay, what does this semi-closed circuit give? They give high pressure and they also give high resistance to the airflow. They give both high pressure and high resistance to the airflow. Okay, now if you see Mapleson A, this is Mapleson A. This Mapleson A, if you see, the most important thing, only the catching points which you should remember I will tell you. Here this is the patient side, right? So one thing is Mapleson A is the circuit of choice for spontaneous ventilation. You should remember this. This Mapleson A is circuit of choice for spontaneous ventilation. Here if you see, fresh gas is away from the patient. You just remember this one thing in Mapleson A, fresh gas flow, that is away from the patient. That is the only important thing which you have to know in this circuit. This fresh gas is away from the patient. The patient is here and fresh gas is here. That is Mapleson A. Mapleson B and Mapleson D and Mapleson E, not only that, and Mapleson F, all the other Maplesons if you see. Here in all the others, the fresh gas flow is towards the patient. See, this is towards the patient. This is also nearer to the patient. This is nearer to the patient. Nearer to the patient, nearer to the patient. So this is Mapleson A is a unique system where fresh gas is away from the patient, and that is the reason why you can use this Mapleson A in spontaneous ventilation. Next, Mapleson B and Mapleson C are not used now. What is used now is Mapleson D. Okay, so this Mapleson D is the circuit of choice for controlled ventilation. Okay, here if you see, fresh gas is towards the patient. Okay, obviously if you remember one, the rest all are common, right? Next, the next thing which we have is Mapleson E and Mapleson F. Remember, in Mapleson E and Mapleson F, these are actually the pediatric Maplesons. These are used for small children, pediatric patients. So in Mapleson E is also called as Ayer's T-piece, or it is also called as inverted T-shaped circuit. So Mapleson E is also called as Ayer's T-piece or inverted T-shaped circuit. So this Mapleson E is the circuit of choice for pediatric patients. Actually, this Mapleson E is useless as you cannot do any interpretation for either tidal volume. No interpretation for tidal volume is used in Mapleson E. Okay, because see, there is no bag and mask ventilation. There is no bag attached to it. See, if a bag is attached to it, whenever patient is respiring, this bag will inflate and deflate, and as a result you can make sure that the patient is breathing. But in Mapleson E, because no bag is attached, you cannot make sure whether the baby is breathing or not. So this is actually useless. We do not use it at all. Because why? This why is important, because there is no interpretation for tidal volume in this circuit Mapleson E. It is also used in children less than 6 years of age and those who have weight more than 20 kgs. It can be used in less than 6 years of children and more than 20 kgs children. Okay. Then the next circuit is Mapleson F. So if you see, this Mapleson F is Jackson-Reeve system or Ayers-TP circuit. Okay, this Mapleson F, it has a bag attached to the expiratory end, and with this bag we can find the tidal volume. In this Mapleson F you can find the tidal volume. It is actually the circuit of choice for controlled and spontaneous ventilation in the pediatric patients. Okay, it is the circuit of choice for controlled and spontaneous ventilation for pediatric patients. So these are the different Mapleson systems. Next in Mapleson we will see the differences between Mapleson type A and Mapleson type B. Among all the Mapelsons which we have seen, these are the most important, right? So let us know the differences between type A Mapleson. Mapleson type A, sorry, this is Mapleson type D. Mapleson type D. Okay, so this Mapleson type A is also called as Meigel's circuit. We can call Mapleson type A as Meigel's circuit, Mapleson type D. Okay, now this Mapleson type A is the circuit of choice for spontaneous ventilation. So here for spontaneous ventilation in Mapleson type A, we have fresh gas flow is equal to the minute ventilation. We have fresh gas flow is equal to minute ventilation in spontaneous ventilation, and as a result it is the circuit of choice for spontaneous ventilation. There is something called as modified Mapleson A, which is recently has been discovered. This is there is something called as modified Mapleson A or lax circuit or axial Mapleson A. You don't need to know details about it. This is a modification of Mapleson A. What is it? Lax circuit or axial Mapleson A or modified Mapleson A. Then we have Mapleson D, right? In Mapleson D, this is actually the circuit of choice for controlled ventilation, right? In controlled ventilation, here the fresh gas flow is equal to 1.5 times the minute ventilation. Okay, here the fresh gas flow is 1.5 times the minute ventilation. Then we have a modification of Mapleson D also, which is called as modified Mapleson D or Bain circuit or coaxial Mapleson D or universal circuit. We have modified Mapleson D or Bain circuit, coaxial Mapleson D or universal circuit. Next, in adults, this is very important. In adults, for adults, if you see, in spontaneous ventilation, A is most commonly used, followed by D, followed by B is equal to C. For controlled ventilation, D is most commonly used, followed by B is equal to A more than A, is equal to C plus more than A. That means best circuit for spontaneous ventilation is Mapleson type A. Best method for controlled ventilation is Mapleson type D. Next if you see closed circuit. Closed circuit, if you see, for closed circuit we have a separate limbs for inspiratory and expiration, right? Unidirectional, and we have carbon dioxide absorber. I have already told you. So first we will see about the carbon dioxide absorber. So what is there in carbon dioxide absorber? The carbon dioxide absorber contains either a soda lime or para lime. Okay, what is most commonly used in India? In India we have soda lime. In India we use soda lime. So what are the constituents of soda lime? It contains sodium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, silica and dye. So what does soda lime contains? It contains sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, water, silica and dye. Okay, so the containers, that is the soda lime containers, have granules of carbon dioxide absorber instead of powders. So why do they have granules of carbon dioxide absorber? They have granules of carbon dioxide absorber because if you see the granules, they have increased surface area. The surface area of granules is more when compared to powder. So because of increased surface area, they have granules of carbon dioxide. Similarly, for free passage of air, if there is granules, then in between the granules there will be air. Free passage of air can occur between the granules. So for that free passage of air, we have started using granule. And if there is granules, this will prevent the dusting of gas. If there is powder, obviously the dust can also enter through the gas, and even that gas can enter the lungs of the patient, right? But if there are granules, these granules cannot cause dusting of the gas. So these are the reasons why we have put granules of carbon dioxide. One, to increase the surface area, free passage of gas, and to prevent dusting of gas, right? Now what is important is the composition of soda lime. So this is the carbon dioxide absorber, which you can see in your anesthesia machine also. Okay, so we can see composition of soda lime are important. So if you see the composition of soda lime, it contains sodium hydroxide, which is present in 4%, potassium hydroxide, which is present in 1%, calcium hydroxide, which has the highest concentration, which is present maximum is calcium hydroxide. Though the name is soda lime, maximum concentration is present is calcium hydroxide, and it also has water, which is 11 to 18%, and it contains silica. Silica will provide hardness to the soda lime, and the dye used in soda lime is phenolphthalein dye is used in the soda lime, and as a result, whenever there is acidic pH, this is seen as pink in color at acidic pH and becomes colorless at basic pH. Okay, so there is pink color in pink color in basic pH, and there is colorless at acidic pH. So phenolphthalein dye will be pink color in basic pH and colorless in acidic pH. Now what are the clinical features of carbon dioxide absorption? If there is exhaustion of carbon dioxide absorber, what happens? There will be hypertension, tachycardia, increased oozing of blood from surgical site, or increased sweating in anesthetic patient, change of color of these granules, change in shape of the capnogram. All these are the clinical features if the soda lime is exhausted. Okay, now what are the reactions that occur? These reactions are also important. Carbon dioxide will combine with water. There is carbon dioxide and there is water also, right? There is almost 11 to 18% of water is present. So this carbon dioxide first combines with water and it forms H2CO3, right? This H2CO3 will combine with NaOH and it forms Na2CO3 and H2O. Okay, this carbon CaOH taken twice also combine with NaOH and it forms CaCO3 and NaOH. So NaOH has been, okay, so this is the reactions which occur. So if you see, sorry, the reaction is wrong, 1 minute. CaOH taken twice combine with Na2CO3, this will combine with Na2CO3 and it forms CaCO3 and NaOH. Okay, so in this process, if you see, the NaOH which is utilized, the sodium hydroxide which is utilized in the reaction has been regenerated back. Okay, but calcium hydroxide is not regenerated back. So that is the reason why calcium hydroxide is in the highest concentration, because with the help of calcium hydroxide we are able to regenerate sodium hydroxide, which is the key product of the reaction. Okay, then the important one-liners are, if you have 100 grams of soda lime, this will absorb 21 to 28 liters of carbon dioxide. 100 grams of soda lime absorbs 21 to 28 liters of carbon dioxide. The soda NaOH which you see, that is highly toxic. So in order to decrease the side effects of NaOH, this NaOH is given in lower concentrations and this NaOH is made to regenerate back by giving high concentration of calcium hydroxide. So this is how the reaction occurs. Next, one more important one-liners are: what are the predisposing factors for carbon dioxide production in closed circuit? In closed circuit, when will the carbon dioxide production occur? See, these are the features when carbon dioxide production occurs. Whenever there is desflurane, okay, in the present, when you use desflurane, isoflurane, enflurane has inhaled anesthetics, then there is increased predisposition for carbon dioxide production to occur in closed circuit. Whenever we have dry carbon dioxide absorber, in the dry carbon dioxide absorber, if we use Bera lime instead of soda lime, then there is increased chances of carbon dioxide production in closed circuit. Okay, so this is about the carbon dioxide absorber. I think you have got some gist of this. So thank you guys for watching my lecture. In the next class we will learn about the next important topic. Thank you.